G'day, my name is Alan Gamble, and we're back again for another week of looking at the Australian box office charts. Hopefully, also with fixed audio. That's a part of learning a new hobby. Apparently, most of my old videos had bad audio. So that should be fixed now moving forward. So I hope you look forward to this much more clearer input. But without any more fluff, let's get into the top 5. So diving straight in, at number 1, we have Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, stealing top spot from Captain America, which is now at number 2. Bridget Jones with $2.8 million and Captain America with $2.4 million, with a week 2 hold for Bridget Jones being at 37%, with a week 2 drop of Captain America being at 54%. So that puts Bridget Jones' total at just over $9.4 million, and Captain America at just over $9.1 million. Sitting at number 3, holding the spot from week 2, is Nizar 2, with another $1.5 million, a 36% hold, which is also really, really good, with a current total of $5.2 million. At number 4, we have the new entry of The Monkey with $581,000, and with a quite exceptional hold, Shavar only dropped 2% for a current total of just over $1.1 million. So Shavar moved up from position 6 last week to position 5 this week, which is really good. A 2% hold is incredibly good, but even good holds from Bridget Jones and Nizar 2 at 36 and 37%. The big one here is obviously Captain America dropping that 54%, which harkens back to the pretty negative word of mouth, the low cinema score, and just the underwhelming word of mouth of Captain America Brave New World. While I was pretty fine on it, it's not like I was overtly recommending it to people that asked about it. The other point of note for the top 5 is Nizar 2 is doing those type of numbers off just 137 screens, where Bridget Jones and Captain America are in over 500, which is pretty wide release for Australia. So Nizar 2 is doing an average per screen that is double pretty much anything else out right now. If your cinema is showing Nizar 2, you're bringing in about $11,000 per screen, which is really, really good. It means it's only showing in a small number of screens, but the people that want to see that will go and seek that movie out, which is really impressive stuff. We'll take a quick look at Bridget Jones and Captain America's performance next, and before diving into 6 through 10. So let's check in on Captain America, as week 1 alone wasn't enough information to make a call on whether it was a hit or a flop or anything in between. Week 2 sees Captain America Brave New World drop 54% in week 2. And while it's a fairly steep drop, it's not nearly as bad as some recent releases for the MCU, like Black Widow from 2021 that dropped 68%, The Marvels from 2023 that dropped 65%, or The Eternals from 2021 that dropped 58%. Those are the other MCU movies released in Australia that had massive week 2 drops without the massive opening weekend. Things like Avengers Endgame from 2019 and Spider-Man No Way Home from 2021 both had a huge week 2 drop-off of 60% and 72% respectively, but those movies opened 5 to 6 times higher than Captain America at around 26 million and 32 million opening weekend compared to 5.3 million. But let's look at how it's charting compared to the rest of the MCU. Currently at $9.1 million, it's beaten out The Marvels, which ended its run at $6.7 million, which is probably good. If it closed under that, we'd be in real trouble for the MCU. And Captain America Brave New World is closing the gap on Captain America the First Avenger. However, that is from 2011, and that number is unadjusted for inflation. I think Captain America Brave New World will be looking to get around that $15 million range. If it can get over that hump and around $15 million or over that, it will at least be out of the danger zone of a total flop like Black Widow or Eternals. It's already beaten The Marvels, But at least in the Australian market, can't speak for globally or it's US domestic, but we're focusing on Australia. And within Australia, if it can get over $15 million, it will at least be sort of mid-pack, well, lower mid-pack of the MCU within Australia. Jumping across to Bridget Jones. Bridget Jones continues tracking along well with its much lower 37% week 2 drop and steals top spot from Captain America after just 1 week for a current total of $9.4 million. And if we see how that's tracking, nothing super exciting. After 2 weeks of release, it's around 50% of the franchise average, excluding The Edge of Reason, which did exceptionally well. We'll keep an eye on it, but this one looks to be tracking along quite well with no major qualms, unlike Captain America. And jumping across to 6 through 10, at number 6, we have A Complete Unknown. After 5 weeks of release with another $396,000, a hold of 26%, which is really good, for a current total of just over $7 million. Conclave sits at number 7. After 7 weeks of release, a 5% increase week on week, which is pretty rare, for a current total of $7.2 million. Heart Eyes drops down to number 8 with a massive 74% drop in week 2 for a current total of just over $1.1 million. Not super uncommon with horror movies. They always are more prone to having massive week 2 drops because horror fans love horror movies and go as soon as they're out, and they don't have as much wide general audience appeal. Macbeth, another bit of an outlier for the week, moves up to position number 9 after releasing 3 weeks ago, but it must have been in only 1 or 2 screens as this did not show up on my radar. So the massive increase is going from 1 screen to around 100 to bring in $191,000 for a current total of $233 with a whopping 5,468% increase week on week for business. And holding the spot after 10 weeks of release is Mufasa the Lion King with another $176,000 for a current total of $28 million. Really good holds from A Complete Unknown, Mufasa at 26 and 25% respectively. And Conclave increasing business week on week is also really, really impressive. So that is Macbeth, a live theatre filmed at the Donmar Warehouse in London for cinemas. So it's a live stage show that was recorded with the intent to release it at cinemas. So that's why those can pop up every now and then. And the people that love them really, really love them. Not my cup of tea though. But that's it for the top 10, so let's move on. And quickly checking out what dropped out of the top 10 this week. We Live in Time is finally out after 6 weeks. Good effort. And Baby Girl, hanging around, has finally dropped out after 4 weeks, which is more than I expected from Baby Girl, to be honest. I did not expect it to stick around for that long. But that's what's dropped out, so let's moving on. Jumping across to 2025's top 10. So this is everything released in calendar year 2025, starting with Paddington in Peru, which released January 1. So in top spot is Paddington in Peru, still holding top spot quite comfortably at $17.3 million. Shooting up the chart is Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy at second spot at $9.4 million. And Captain America also following in close pursuit in third position with $9.1 million. Nosferatu drops down to number 4 with $7.9 million. Conclave drops down to number 5 at $7.2 million. A Complete Unknown also drops down to number 6 at just over $7 million. And We Live in Time drops down to number 7 at $6.5 million. Nizar 2 holds 8th spot at $5.2 million, as does Baby Girl holding 9th spot at $3.1 million, and Den of Thieves 2 Pantera still hangs around in position number 10 with $2.6 million. Alright, taking a quick look at what is coming up this week. In wide releases, 27th of February, we get I'm Still Here, which is the Best Picture Oscar-nominated Brazilian movie from Walter Salles. starring Fernanda Torres as also Best Leading Actress. We have In the Lost Lands, the latest Paul W.S. Anderson movie, of course starring, as always, Mila Jovovich, his wife, but also Dave Bautista. And Australia is getting this one a couple of weeks early before the US, so I will probably go and catch that one, although it looks pretty terrible. And lastly, in wide releases, we have Hindi Vindi, a local Australian production from Ali Sayed. In limited releases, from 27th of Feb, we have a few smaller titles that you will have to have a hunt around for in your local market, starting with Inside, an Australian prison drama from Charles Williams. We have The Fall, 4K remaster, or 4K restoration, a 4K remaster of the 2006 movie from Tarsim Singh, starring Lee Pace. I've heard that one is an average movie, but visually incredible to look at, so I am going to try and catch that one when it releases this week. Then we have The Last Journey, aka Den Sista Resan, a Swedish documentary. And lastly, Whitebird, a spin-off, prequel and sequel to the 2017 movie Wonder. And now across to streaming releases. Not too many this week, but we do have on the 24th of February, Suits LA on NBC, so find that where you might. A spin-off series of the 2011 classic series Suits, which I loved but never actually finished. And on the 27th of February, we have Running Point on Netflix, a new series, a sports comedy series from Mindy Kaling, starring Kate Hudson. Next up is Toxic Town, over on Netflix, a British miniseries following the story of three mothers in relation to the Corby toxic waste case. And then lastly, over on Amazon Prime, we have a new series of House of David, a historical fantasy drama telling about the story of David. And finally, if you're following along with the Cinechums Movie Challenge, what did I end up watching last week? Well, first up was The Outfit from 2022 by Graham Moore. First time directing, but the writer of The Imitation Game, which some people might be familiar with. An absolutely underrated gem, in my opinion, that not many people seem to even know of. I caught it a bit ago, I think a year or two after it released, and I really dug it. Short, small-scale bottle movie starring Mark Rylance, Zoe Deutsch, Johnny Flynn, and Dylan O'Brien as a much, much improved performance from his Maze Runner days. Next up was John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, with the clothing connection being torn, shredded clothing that confirmed at least one of the team members was, in fact, not what they appeared. Granted, the real reason it showed up here is some mates hired a cinema for some birthdays, and we ended up watching The Thing on the big screen, which is always a welcome treat. And lastly, Anjula, a Hindi language short film from Adam J. Graves starring Sajja Pravan, and a first credited role for Anya Shanbang from 2024 in this year's Oscars live action short film category. So it's nice to get a short film knocked off. And yeah, all three were brilliant, 2 were rewatches and only 1 new. But let's move on to what's coming up this week. This week's Cinechums Movie Challenge is accessories, to counter the last week's one where we're looking at accessories in the title. So Cat in the Hat, or Umbrellas of Cherbourg, sneakers. Accessories in the plot, such as Titanic, or They Live with its iconic sunglasses, which I just watched a couple of weeks ago, so maybe not that. Or iconic accessories, like the headband in Karate Kid or Deer Hunter, or the masks in Eyes Wide Shut. There's quite a few interesting examples we can look at. Reservoir Dogs, Strays, Sneakers. But if we jump over to my shortlist I've come up with is things like Kind Hearts and Coronets, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, The Deer Hunter with its band, Judge Dredd with his helmet, Escape from LA with his eye patch, and a few others. As always, if you want to join us for these fun challenges, The link is in the description below. It's not run by me, but it's a lot of fun for everyone that seems to do it together. We all get together, we all share what we've been watching. That is it for me this week. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we will be continuing to follow the battle of Bridget Jones and Captain America. As always, the links to the Cinechums movie challenge is in the description below, and hopefully the improved, finally fixed audio issues that I was experiencing made this a little bit more pleasant to deal with. The joys of learning a new hobby and finding all the mistakes you make along the way. But anyway, that's it for me. I'll see you later. Catch ya. Bye.